Hi, Becky. Welcome to Tara Talks, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Tara. I'm so pleased to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you about a topic that is so important for everyone in business, but I think particularly for women. So I'm really excited to talk to you today all about worthiness. But first, would you just give our listeners a little insight into you, who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are now?
Of course. So I'm Becky Stanton and I'm a mindset and manifestation coach. So I support female business owners to create success in their own terms, essentially, to be themselves in business and break through any of these mindset barriers that are holding them back in business, making them play small. And I love to put the mindset and manifestation together to really build that abundance mindset, to really believe that anything is possible and that they just need to release those conditioned patterns and stories and beliefs. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I've been the before. I've been that person feeling so unworthy, so unconfident, such low self-belief and self-trust that I can really feel the pain of my dream clients. I know what it's like to be there, and I've done that internal work, and it doesn't end, as you know, Tara. It's a continuous journey of mindset and building that abundance mindset. There's always that next level, that up level. But I've come such a gorgeous way in such a short amount of time, and it's purely from that inner work, from that spiritual perspective, but also from a mindset scientific perspective too.
So how did you get to where you are now? So what was your journey from corporate into business, and when did you start working on your mindset?
So I come from a corporate HR background. So I was doing that for, I think it was 8, 9 years, and I just got very complacent, got very bored, and didn't feel challenged. But my self-worth and self-trust was so low. I thought that was what I deserved. I thought, this is it, just do it, don't rock the boat. I didn't think I was worthy of anything else. So I stayed in the job way longer than I ever should have. There were so many nudges, so many opportunities, which I just batted away. And it got to a point where I actually was given life coaching as part of my role. Everyone else was having the life coaching to get the promotion, and straight away I was like, I must leave my job, help me. I need to leave. So that was clearly a nudge from the universe of gifting me this gorgeous opportunity. And I quit my job out of the blue for everyone else, not for me really. It's been years in the making. And I ended up doing a much longer notice period, ended up doing 9 months notice out of choice, purely because I didn't trust myself in the next step of what that would look like, because I was quitting my career with no idea what I wanted to do, just knowing that this doesn't feel good. It's kind of knowing that I'm done with this life now, I'm ready for the next one, but I have no idea what that is. So I was kind of clinging on to that old comfortableness. So I eventually left, and then I think that's when the mindset just came up. And I think with women in business, when we put ourselves out there, when we try, that tends to be when those beliefs that are out of alignment really show up, because you're more visible, you're putting yourself out there, you're trying, you're more likely to fail than in the corporate world where it's quite protected. And my mindset journey just had to start. It was kind of, I had to be like, this isn't working. I'm so unhappy. I have no belief in myself. So much slow progress. I've just really had that negative self-talk, procrastination, perfectionism, every fear under the sun. Name it, I had it. So fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being visible, fear of judgment. So I was just stuck. So I was stuck in this place of, I know I don't want to be there. I had this calling to have my own business, but had no idea what that was. I was exploring like party planning, event management, children's books at one point.
Wow.
I had so many creative ideas, but I was stuck in this place where I had no idea. And coaching was one of them that kept coming up. but I had a belief that I wasn't good enough to be a coach. I batted that one away. It was too similar to HR maybe. I thought, no, done with that. I don't want to be doing people work. And then I just had to start my mindset journey, and it actually started from a spiritual perspective. So I read a lot about manifestation in books, and then I just thought, this sounds magical, I'm in. And then for the last 2 years, it's been, the first year was quite slow growth in personal development, and the last year it was just skyrocketed when I've done the deep inner healing work.
Yeah. That's when the shift really happens, isn't it, I think?
Oh yes.
So back when you were employed, you said, I had no belief and I was full of fear, yet you still took the plunge anyway. So there's got to be so many people listening that are unhappy in their jobs. You know, I know we've discussed this at great length, unhappy in their jobs, not knowing what to do, not feeling worthy. What advice can you give them to almost take the plunge?
Yeah, for me personally, it got to a point where the desire was far, far greater than any fear. So I had all of those fears and those doubts, but the desire just kept coming up of, you're not happy, there must be more to life. You know, each birthday was coming round, and my 30th was a big one for me of, I'm 30 years old, I'm not where I thought I would be in every area of my life. And I knew that despite all the fears, the desire was bigger. So I think it is really connecting with, there will always be fears, there will always be resistance, there will always be doubts. But if you've got a desire, if you've got that nudge, listen to that, because you've got that for a reason. And I think the greatest shifts also happen when you're done with your own BS. Yes. And I think that was a perfect example where I was like, Becky, you've been saying for months and years that you're not happy and you're done with your corporate career. Really? You're going to keep saying that? And I think that's a really powerful thing, where that frustration can actually fuel action. So frustration can be a good thing. It can be a nudge in the right direction if you're done with your old patterns and old ways, and you trust that there's a desire and there's possibility for something new.
I love that. So you were out in the big wide world. You no longer had that regular paycheck coming in. And obviously you said that you kept sort of thinking, okay, what can I do? Kept enhancing your own mindset, going on that journey. What was the aha moment when you thought coaching is the one?
It kept coming around. So coaching, I kept following coaches thinking they've got their shiz together, this looks good. And I was always drawn to coaches, and I thought it was because I wanted to be coached. But there was definitely something within me where that service that coaches provide was calling me. But I purposely was going in the opposite direction. So where coaching was like that downstream thought guiding me, I was purposely turning my boat around and paddling upstream of like, no, too similar to HR. I'm going to try something different. I'm left my job for a reason. I'm going to do something creative. And I was forcing against the grain to do something else. And it was finally, every time I explored a different avenue, I always came back to coaching. And my first service was actually about feng shui, workspaces and energy. So I followed that spiritual route initially. And then as soon as I started working with clients, I fell into a coaching role. And it was like, the universe always will bring you back to what you're destined for. So something I was avoiding for a good year is now what I do and I love.
I love that. And it just feels like it has just clicked into place. And whenever I sort of look at you on social media or when we work together, I was like, you just feel like you're in such alignment now. And sometimes it does take a bit of time for those pieces to click in, doesn't it? For that puzzle to be formed together. But then when it does, it's the best thing ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think the lesson for me was, if things feel effortless and easy and enjoyable, that's a good thing. Yeah. I had one of the ingrained beliefs of, it's too easy. You know, I enjoy that. That doesn't feel like it's work. That doesn't feel like it's going to be fulfilling enough if it's too easy. And the biggest lesson I had is actually that was the universe guiding me. Like, the effortlessness is a good thing. It just means you are in that alignment.
Yeah, Absolutely love that. Nice reframe there. So when you decided to set up your business as a coach, obviously I think when people decide to set up a business, there's lots of negative self-chatter, limiting beliefs, if you will. What sort of things did you have coming up when you set up your business? And was there anything around your worthiness?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think the underlying belief was that I just wasn't good enough. And I think when you start a business, especially if it's a new modality, you know, if it's not something I left, if I was doing HR, I would have felt confident because it was my bread and butter. But when you start something new, it's really natural to feel not good enough. So you start to look for like external qualifications, you know, all of these external things to prove that you are good enough, rather than working on your actual belief system and your values and your worthiness. So I definitely had the one of not feeling good enough and being able to show up and be visible. So that was a big one for me, that I knew I wanted to be present on social media, but I had a big belief that no one wants to hear my voice, no one wants to hear my story. People will judge me. I was on a woo-woo journey, so people think I'm too spiritual and too too woo-woo. And it was definitely people that I already knew, you know, my old colleagues or family, thinking they're going to think I'm having some sort of breakdown and trying something new. And that really held me back for months of what other people will think, when really it was a reflection of, what am I thinking? Do I even believe in myself? And that was the journey I had to go through, that when you truly do believe in yourself and you know that you're worthy, simply sharing a message and sharing your opinion and coaching and guiding people, you don't care what other people think, genuinely, because you know that you've got something to give and something to offer and can create impact. So sometimes the fear of judgment, fear of visibility is purely you just don't feel comfortable in your own message, in your own skin.
Yeah, I love that. That is so powerful. And again, it's going back to alignment, isn't it? And, you know, when you believe in yourself and you believe you're worthy, again, I think it just ticks another box into sort of putting you into alignment with what you're doing. That's so, so powerful. So at what point did you start doing that sort of deeper work on yourself to help yourself feel more worthy?
So it was about a year into my journey. So the first year in business, I wasn't really a business. I was changing and pivoting every month. I wasn't making any money. I wasn't really taking much action. You know, it definitely was a self-development hobby at that time. And I was doing some like part-time stuff in the background to finance it. And then it did just get to that stage again where I thought, this can't go on forever. Like something's not working. I'm doing the affirmations, I'm doing the journaling, I'm doing visualizations. I was doing all that level of self-development work, reading the books, taking action, but it wasn't really doing much for me. I was definitely edging and I was progressing, but not at the level that I wanted to. I had some deep rooted, well, at that time I didn't know, I just knew something was holding me back, that I still wasn't showing up in the way that I envisioned in those visualizations. You know, I saw myself on stages, writing books, you know, really sharing my message and supporting people. Yeah, I couldn't go live in a Facebook group that had about 20 people in. And I said, this is so out of alignment. Something is going on. Something's holding me back. And I knew it was myself. You know, it gets to a stage where you think there's only so much external blaming you can do. Oh, the timing's not right. Oh, I'm early in my journey. There's only so much of those excuses you can take.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I just thought, I've got to go all in. If I don't try, and if I have to give up, which I will have to if I'm not making any money, and go back to a job, I'll always regret what if. And so I just made a decision of, right, the journey's starting. And so I started investing in more of the deep inner healing work of the subconscious mind, starting with visibility. So I just thought, if I can just show up, then that will help me. And that wasn't quite enough, because underneath the visibility, there was a lot of self-worthiness to deal with. So then I went all in. I was like, well, I'm going to become a mindset coach and work it out myself and help others. And yeah, so that was a year ago, coming up to a year ago. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going all in. I'm ready to change.
Yeah. So do you think you having that breakthrough yourself is partly what makes you so passionate about helping women do that now?
Yes, definitely. I know the pain and the heartache you have when you just are holding yourself back and you know it's you, but you just can't explain it because you consciously are doing all the right things. You know, you're watching the videos, you're reading the books, you're wanting to be better, you're trying to start new habits. And it's just not happening in that way. And it is that subconscious transformation that needs, well, you need to release those deep-rooted beliefs, those conditioned patterns within you, because willpower, that conscious willpower, only takes you so far. And if you don't start with that self-worthiness, which is, you know, those deep beliefs, those core foundation of who you are and your identity, then all that other stuff is just superficial, really. It just is short-term progress.
Yeah. And I guess sort of once you've done that deep work, the morning routine, the visualization, reading, affirmations, they continue to support it, don't they? But it's just perhaps, depending on sort of how you feel about yourself, just not enough in the earlier stages. So do you sort of wish that you had invested sooner?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm so passionate about this. Like, my vision for the future is like giving children, like, I really want like it to start earlier. Like, we don't learn about the subconscious and the conscious mind. Well, they might do these days. Maybe I'm I'm too old. But back in the day when I was at school, like, it just, I don't even remember learning about the brain and how it works.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much power in just having that awareness of there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that you've just conditioned, you were brought up this way to believe this way. It's someone's opinion, or you absorbed it from school or society. But I think when we start our businesses, we think that we're odd. We think that there's something wrong with us. Everyone else is successful. Everyone else is doing these things. And there's awareness and understanding that there's nothing wrong with you, just out of alignment. Your unconscious mind is just out of alignment with your conscious desires.
I so agree about school education. The amount of times I get a bit chopsy at just thinking this needs to be in the syllabus.
Yes.
I was interviewed for a book which is all about mindset and coaching. I think it was a couple of weeks ago I was interviewed, and they said, the interviewer at the end said, what would you change if you could change one thing? And I said, firstly, mindset be taught in schools, how your mind works, all about the subconscious mind, the power of the language you use and how you talk to yourself. And secondly, to make mindset even more accessible for everybody. I said, if there could be like a 4-week course that could be rolled out on a global scale, that would just change the world, wouldn't it? I don't know how one goes about doing that, but it's so important. And I get so passionate about it, and I know you do as well. So I completely agree around schools. But again, you know, we haven't been to school for a long time, so they might change it now, but I haven't heard that they have.
Yeah, no, I'm so with you. And I think there'll be power in just that acceptance of how your mind works, the acceptance of that inner mean girl. Like, she means well, she's trying to protect you. But if you don't know that, you think you're absolutely crazy, where one day you feel confident and good about yourself, and the next day you're told that you're an absolute loser who should never have started a business.
Yeah.
And the awareness is powerful.
Yeah, I love that. What would you say is the impact on women or women in business as a whole, if they don't believe in themselves and don't feel they're worthy?
It does frustrate me, because I was one of them, and you're just holding back your gifts of the impact you can make in this world. Like, every one of my clients and everyone that I connect with in the online world, everyone's passion is about to essentially to help others, or to provide joy, or to do all these great things. And there will be so many women, if they don't have that belief in themselves and feel worthy to put their gifts out into the world, they just won't exist for people. And yeah, and I could have been one of them. Like, I'm so grateful for my persistence to still, despite having the low self-worthiness and the self-belief, some strange reason I kept going, like the desire kept me going. But yeah, so it's just, there'll be so many gorgeous ideas and gifts that women have, or everyone has in the world, that just won't be given if they play small or give up or stop trying.
Yeah, that's a really powerful message, actually, just listening to that desire, because it's there for a reason. And, you know, I think so many people do just put it to one side and they say it's not the right time. Who am I to set up this business? There's already another business like this. You know, there's already other mindset coaches or hypnotherapists. And it's just worrying to think that there are so many people. I'm sure we've got some listeners here who are just sat there thinking, I just want to have my own business. I want to share this message. I want to help change the world. But they just don't have that worthiness and that self-belief within them. So what would you say to that person? What would you recommend as the very first steps for them to start on their sort of mindset and worthiness journey?
Yeah, I think definitely connecting with that desire, making that decision of like, I want this. There's power in making decisions. So usually for me, it does come from that frustration point of, well, I'm done with this. This is what I want. There's power. So embracing the emotions, that if you feel frustration or you feel anger or any of those other emotions that are deemed negative, use it to your advantage. Use it to be like, okay, but I know that's what I don't want as contrast. What do I want? And decide it. And then from a manifestation and mindset point of view, it's then understanding, okay, if that's what I want, am I showing up as the type of person who wants to create that? So it's almost understanding, okay, is my mindset aligned with that? Are my actions aligned with that? Are my beliefs, you know, and going through the list and making sure you're embodying your desire. Because it's fine to embed new beliefs, but it's what you do with them. It's actually the everyday practice. It's a lifestyle. Mindset is a lifestyle. Abundance mindset is being abundantly as much as you can in your choices throughout the day. You know, it's not just a gorgeous morning ritual, it's what you do with it.
Yeah.
So I think there's power in making that decision, making that choice of your desires, then owning it, and then being mindful and aware of your choices throughout the day to be in alignment with your desires.
Yeah. And would you say that journaling is a really good tool to help people either connect with those desires or to sort of help them recognize how they're feeling now?
Yeah, I love journaling. And I know some people have resistance to writing. So I think voice noting is a great alternative to journaling. But what I teach my clients is that we all have the answers. I think when we truly believe that we're worthy and we trust our voice, it's understanding you can go within and find the answer. You don't need to go to every coach in the world and every freebie and every masterclass to find answers. It's finding them within you. And journaling or voice memoing is such a powerful way to do that. And just helps you connect with your intuition, and if you're spiritual, like with your higher self, and really understanding that you always hold the answer.
Yeah. So just to take it down a little step for our listeners that perhaps haven't tried journaling before, they've heard the term thrown around the internet. How would you describe journaling and how can it benefit somebody?
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do it. And journaling can simply be writing a brain dump of how you're feeling in the morning. So we'll wake up, we have a lot on our minds, and there's power in just taking it from your mind onto the paper, of just writing down, you know, maybe it's things you need to buy from the supermarket, maybe it's things you need to do that day, maybe it's, oh, I forgot to ring so-and-so back, or, oh, this is an idea that's just come to me. There's power in just journaling that way. And there's something called morning pages as well, where it's where you just, I think you set a timer for like 5 minutes and you just script. So you just write, don't stop, you just see what comes out from your mind to the page. And that's really powerful, just to create that spaciousness in your mind. So there's that type of journaling, or you can use journaling prompts. So you can Google them or ask yourself questions that morning. So could be, how am I feeling today, or what's my focus for today, or what in terms of release work, it could be, what am I done with, what am I ready to let go of in my life, where am I not in alignment, what doesn't feel good. So you can choose those journals, or you can Google them, or there's so many coaches that share some as well. And then there's the transformational journaling, where it is that higher self connection, where you can actually connect on a bigger scale with yourself and the universe.
I totally agree. And actually, I think it was probably January or February this year. I was just feeling like in a real funk, and I just couldn't work out why. And I didn't know what was going on. And I remember mucking my horse out one morning, and I just cried. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, what's going on? And I got back into the house, made a coffee, and I thought, right, I'm just going to journal on it. And I just journaled, and like so much crap came out of my mind. I thought, whoa, where the hell did all of this come from? And from that journaling exercise, I think I saw something like 11 things that I needed to do or action, or 11 feelings I had that I just needed to deal with. And as soon as I got it out on paper and I could see those 11 points, I could see A, the things I had control over, B, the things that I didn't, that I just needed to let go of, C, that I needed to order dog food because I hadn't done it and I kept trying to hold on to this in my mind. And there were just a few things on there, and I was just thinking, you know, these things individually are nothing out of the ordinary. They're things I know I can cope with. I know that I have it within me to manage these things. But when they were just going round and round and round and round and round in my mind, and then it was just like a big, I don't know, it was like somebody thrown a fireball into it, and it was just, I couldn't cope with it anymore. And journaling just released all of that. And I felt better the second after I finished. And I think for me, that was an aha moment in terms of how powerful journaling can be for you. And, you know, there isn't always a set structure, and it's not like, oh, you have a start, you have a beginning, middle, and end. It's just get it out, and then you can see how you can move forwards. Have you found journaling really helpful in terms of when you want to up level, or when you're trying to sort of think of launching something new or progressing in some way in your business?
Yeah, and the way you described it there is exactly how I started journaling. So journaling for me was when I was in crisis, when I felt overwhelmed. It was that outlet, and that's how I got into journaling. Because I think on a day-to-day basis, it's easy to say, oh, well, you know, it's all in control, I feel okay. And then it turned into a morning practice because I saw the power of the release. So yeah, I journal, not every morning. I call it a morning ritual because I think it is about what feels good. It's not a better journal now, what shall I say? It's if I feel there's something to release or something I need to work through, I do it. And definitely if I'm launching or up leveling, there's just so much more going on in your mind, because when you're essentially leaving behind an old identity, every time you up level, every time you put yourself out there in a launch, you're leaving past you and embracing new you, who earns more money or looks after more clients or is showing up in a different way or leading in a different way. So you are forging that new identity. So there's a lot of gremlins and inner mean girl talk going on saying, we're trying to protect you, trying to keep you small. So journaling is a great outlet, especially when you're going through those phases and seasons in your business, to definitely realize how silly the things are in your head. I think we've all journaled before and it's like, what's wrong with me today? Oh, I'm just not a good coach. And like, well, I know that's not true. Okay, here's all the reasons why I am good. These are the testimonials I receive. And it's sometimes just that evidence collecting within journaling form to be like, no, I am good at what I do. And actually that is just an inner mean girl thought because I'm putting myself out there.
So what are your non-negotiable morning rituals or sort of daily rituals that you always do without fail?
So I'm quite a go with the flow person. So my non-negotiable is just a morning ritual, and it looks different every day. So I'm trying to meditate more because I keep getting nudges from the universe saying meditate. I was speaking to someone the other day and she was saying that she's been avoiding something. And I was like, I've been avoiding meditating, but every day I get a prompt saying meditate. So I'm on a 5-day streak so far. So I'm meditating every morning now, starting really small as well. So just 5 minutes. And actually I'm up to 7 minutes now, which is good. And I love journaling when there's something that I need to work through. I do visualizations, especially where there's a new goal where we need to forge that imagination and set it into my timeline in the future, make it feel like it already exists. I love affirmations, so I like to record myself doing affirmations. And again, the affirmations are really powerful during up leveling or launching, especially if it's like a new money goal, that new energetic minimum. I love reading, so I don't check my phone until after my ritual. So it really is about what I'm absorbing. So I love reading spiritual or self-development books, so I can really absorb the messages. I love listening to chill music, so I listen to like meditation music during the morning. Always have a nice hot beverage, and yeah, I think that's genuinely what I do. And then it does vary. I'm very much, what do I feel called to today? If I don't fancy journaling, I won't do it. Because if you thought, oh, gratitude is another one. Gratitude is always something I do. You know, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you know, when you're doing your gratitude practice and you just can't think what you're grateful for, and you end up saying, oh, my cup of tea, or my dog again. Like, there's really power, and if you feel there's stagnation in your rituals, it's almost taking that step back and being like, okay, how can I change this? Because it's now just becoming that tick box exercise of, I'm grateful for the sun in the summer. And it's like, no, what am I really grateful for? And it's about going in and going into your mind and really connecting and feeling that gratitude. So yeah, I think by me having variety, it allows me to keep it fresh so that I don't fall into that stagnation.
So true. What are some of your favorite books, as you mentioned reading in there?
Yeah. So I think from a manifestation point of view, I love Gabby Bernstein's Super Attractor.
I just started reading that literally yesterday.
Have you really?
I was reading it for half an hour before we jumped on this call.
Oh my gosh. And it's great, isn't it? It's just, it's her best book by far. It's just so simple. And it's just a great reminder of like the universal laws and how to manifest. One of the first ones I read actually was You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. And I think that's always a good one because it's quite funny and witty and it has powerful messages. So I think where she delivers the learnings, they kind of stay with you because they're such funny stories. What else? Oh, and I love anything by Denise Duffield Thomas as well. So Chillpreneur is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, she's great. I love her. I love Get Rich Lucky Bitch.
Yeah.
Times and always like go on and implement it and see a shift. And actually reading is something that I'm sort of trying to include as like a daily non-negotiable for me now. So it's sort of making sure I read for 30 minutes a day. It's generally around lunchtime after my dog walks. So it's kind of a little bit of chill time before I get back into the afternoon sort of session. And it does really have an impact, I think, because so often we can fall into a trap of just scrolling endlessly on our social media or just not doing things that are filling us up. And I think, you know, you've got an opportunity to flood your mind with something, flood it with success, flood it with inspiration, flood it with things that are going to help you be the person that you want to be. And would you agree? Do you really try and flood your mind with success?
Yes. Yeah, I'm so conscious with what I allow in. So I got into, a few months ago, I got into a habit of watching TV every lunchtime. And I'd convince myself, because it was usually like Friends or something fun. And I'd convince myself, oh, it's lighthearted, it's fun. But I fell into like just bad habits. And I realized that I'm consuming something within the middle of my day that doesn't set me up for a successful afternoon. It sets me up for like a Saturday feel, you know, where it's just something so familiar and so easy. So yeah, I'm the same. Be really conscious about what you allow into your mind and how it affects you, like emotionally, because yeah, it's so important in terms of how you show up in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So just as we sort of draw towards wrapping up this beautiful conversation, what message do you want to put out there for women in business, women who are employed, women across the world? What message would you like to put out there for them?
It's going to sound really corny, but it simply is that we are born worthy of everything we want. And I think once you realize that you're born with all those desires and that everything's possible for you, and it's just, there's layers of conditioning, which is, you know, no one's fault. It's not a blame game, but you are conditioned where you're born, your family, your schooling, your experiences, your memories. But it's understanding at the core, you're worthy. Yeah. And any manifestation and mindset work is purely release work. It's releasing those layers and going back to your core worth and remembering that you're worthy. You can have all the belief, you are unstoppable. You just need to go back to that true essence of who you are.
Love it. I just got but I bloody love it. And I think for people listening, you know, whether you've had negative thoughts or limiting beliefs or been beating yourself up for 2 weeks, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, you can still change that. And I think that is the beauty of mindset work. You can change it, but you've also got to keep working on it. You know, it's like a muscle. If you stop using a muscle, it goes back to not being a muscle. I mean, I'm not very good with biology and muscles and things, but you know, you've got to keep working on that to keep that muscle in great shape, and your mind is the same. Becky, you are an absolute angel. Thank you so much for sharing your important message and hopefully inspiring women. And I hope that people who are listening to this are now feeling a bit more at peace with themselves and understanding that anything is possible for them. Where can my lovely listeners find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram. So it's Becky Stanton _mindset coach. And my website's beckystanton.com.
Perfect. I will pop those links in the show notes. Becky, thank you so much again. I'm so grateful to have you share your beautiful message and inspire and motivate the women of the world. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Tara.